Hello, Brave Nation, and welcome to episode 32 of BraveHawk Talk, presented by Pepsi. Pepsi, that's what I like. I'm John Gross, and when it comes to your pets, you want the best. You want a veterinarian who will show your pets the love and care they deserve. Southeastern Veterinary Hospital of Lumberton will do just that. Their friendly and experienced team will keep you and your pet at ease. Call 910-739-9411 to schedule your appointment today. Southeastern Veterinary Hospital, your neighborhood's favorite vet. Today we are joined by Jillian Manning of the Uncp swim team and Frank James, Uncp Athletics Director of Game Operations. Gillian, a graduate student, is one of the newest student athletes at Uncp, joining the team just a few weeks ago. But despite her early tenure, she has already made history in the pool. Here's our Scotland Health Student Athlete of the Week, Jillian Manning. Today I'm thrilled to be joined by one of the newest student athletes at Uncp, Jillian Manning of the Uncp swimming team. Jillian, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
You have a very interesting story and path to Uncp, so we're going to dive a lot into that, but you just competed in your first race as a Brave against Queens, the top team of the country, and didn't take very long for you to make an impact. You set the school record for the 200-yard freestyle, and you also won the 500-yard freestyle as well. So what was it like for you to be out there and competing over the weekend?
It was so great. I was really attracted to the team because it's really great. All the teammates on the team are so nice and supportive, and having that atmosphere in that competition again was really just an amazing experience.
You have not swam competitively, at least from what I understand, for some time. I know you went to UNC Chapel Hill, and then you come to Uncp to swim. So we'll go back, I guess, to high school. You were a very talented swimmer in high school, won a lot of state awards. Did you intend on swimming in college, coming out of high school?
I did. I actually originally swam at a different college my very first year in college, and that wasn't the best experience. So I transferred to UNC Chapel Hill. I was swimming competitively for a year-round team, but not for a college team. And then this opportunity came up when I was getting my master's, so I could actually swim in college again.
Now, I know that you have a close relationship with Coach Roverato. When did you first meet him?
I met him my freshman year of high school when I was 14. He actually coached my older brother, Colin, and he was really probably the reason I fell in love with swimming as much as I have. He's been such a great supportive coach and helped me gain confidence both in the pool and out of the pool.
Was that your first introduction to swimming, or had you swam before that?
My mom taught me how to swim, so I knew all the strokes, but I never swum competitively until my freshman year of high school.
And what was that like? Was that, you said that he kind of sparked your interest in that. Were you kind of nervous at first, or did he feel pretty confident that, you could succeed in this?
I was very nervous at first. I had no idea about what sort of swimmer I'd be or what strokes I'd swim or anything really about the competitive side of swimming. And he definitely taught me and my family a lot about training and swimming parts. I mean, I really had no idea going in. I was very nervous.
I came across an article, then your mom was quoted, and she says that you kind of went from someone who wouldn't look people in the eye and you were incredibly shy to someone who's now confident, and she credits that to your experience swimming. Do you feel that's the case? Do you feel that swimming made you a more confident person even outside of the pool?
Very much so. I was extremely quiet all through middle school, and swimming really gave me an opportunity to realize that I could push myself harder and kind of just gain some confidence in myself enough to start pushing myself more in social experiences and talking and in the classroom. So I would definitely say swimming helped me a lot.
Now, you had mentioned before that you started your college career swimming, then you transferred to UNC Chapel Hill where you didn't swim, but you did swim competitively outside of the classroom. Did you feel that prepared you, to find that balance between academics and swimming that you now have to experience here at UNCP?
I think it did. Our schedule actually replicated a similar one to the one I'm doing at Uncp, where we swim in the morning, in the afternoon, and have classes in between. So I would definitely say that helps prepare me for trying to balance the schoolwork load with the swimming workload.
Was UNCP the only school that you looked at for your master's program?
It was. I live in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and Oscar was my coach in high school, so I knew he was a really great coach for me. So having the opportunity to be able to swim with him again and be able to get my master's while staying at home was a really great opportunity that I thought I'd be interested in.
Now, when you decided to come to UNCP, when you first expressed interest in that, did you reach out to him, or did he have an idea that you were looking to swim after college and pursue a master's degree?
I've been looking to my master's degree for a couple months, and he actually looked up and realized I had some extra swim time, because once you start swimming in college, your time's continuous. But I found out we had a little bit extra time left after my experience at my first college, and he reached out and said, hey, I would really love to have you on the team, and this would be a great opportunity. And I thought it'd be a really fun experience to have that opportunity to be able to swim again, to compete, and have teammates.
Has it been tough at all to kind of get back into the routine of being in college and swimming at the same time?
Oh, yes. I've been experienced. I started classes this week, and it's definitely been a hit. I haven't taken classes in about a year, so I can definitely feel that. Trying to get the rust off the brain and getting back to work and school and trying to balance it, it's going to take me probably a couple weeks to get back in the routine.
When I spoke to Oscar a couple days ago and talking about your success and just the success of the overall swim team, and we brought up how you set the school record, he said that's nowhere close to your best. He said you can do a few seconds better than that. How much longer do you feel that you'll need to kind of be back in the pool and practicing for you to be at 100%?
I'm hoping for about 2 more weeks of practice. We just started our Christmas training, or early part of the season training for this semester in January. So I'm hoping another 2 weeks, and I should be right back to my top time.
What are your personal goals for this season?
I would really love to make my NCAA cut, and I would love to see our team win conference again together.
One of the really cool things about the swim team is how diverse the team is. You have players from not just across the country, but across the globe. How cool has that been? I know you haven't been with the team for too long, but how cool has it been to get to know your teammates who are from all across the globe?
It's actually been really, really fun. It's so interesting hearing different stories about different countries and different cultures and foods, and kind of comparing them to ours, and just you'll have this flow of different languages, Italian and Portuguese and Spanish. But actually, I think it just creates this really great environment where everyone kind of respects each other, and we can see just different parts of the world all at one time.
Have you picked up on any of the other languages that are spoken in the locker room?
I wish.
That would be a pretty cool thing. So you are at UNCP in addition to swimming, of course, for academic purposes too. You are pursuing your master's of business administration. Why are you looking to do that?
My dream is to actually open a pool with my high school team, so with Oscar Robrato, to open a pool in Fayetteville, North Carolina. That would be open to year-round swimming, to high school swimming, to master's teams. So my goal is to have the business side of that, and I already have the swimming side, so kind of combine this so we can have the most successful business possible.
Wow, and how long has that been your goal for?
About the last 2 years, we've been working on finding a site and getting the business plan together and sort of figure out how the pool will work and where it will work in Fayetteville.
What are you hoping to learn from your master's program here at UNCP?
I'm definitely hoping to learn about the business side, but the administrative side, and kind of how to market our pool correctly to make sure we can reach out and be as successful as possible.
Like you said, you live in Fayetteville. I know you're from Fayetteville, and of course at UNCP we have a lot of athletes who are from this part of the state. Do you take pride in being able to represent your area, given that we are just about 40 minutes or so from Fayetteville?
I do. I think it's a really great opportunity to represent our area and actually show local sports that are so close to home instead of the ones you see that are out of state or so much farther away.
Now, we like to end on a fun question, and I'll let you think about this because there are probably a lot of options that you may have in mind. But if you could pick one place to swim in the world, it could be a pool, it could be a body of water, whatever you decide, where would that be?
Probably the Olympic pool they used in London in 2012, I believe. That one looked absolutely gorgeous.
Why? What separated that pool from other Olympic pools?
I remember seeing the architecture on the side, and it had all the light coming through. And I heard it was an extremely fast pool, so I think the fact that you could travel to London and see this just beautiful fast pool would be a great opportunity.
I'm with you. That sounds like it would be an awesome opportunity. Well, Jillian, thank you so much for your time today. Best of luck the rest of this season, and we are very excited to see what the swim team has in store the rest of the way.
Thank you so much.
Thanks to Jillian for hopping on today, and we wish her the best of luck throughout the rest of this season. As the athletics season heats up, make sure that you're staying fresh in your UNCP Adidas gear. Adidas is one of the most recognizable brands in the world and is the official apparel and uniform provider for UNCP athletics. Visit shopuncpbraves.com to find your UNCP Adidas gear today. It takes a lot of moving pieces to put together a UNCP athletic event, and from setup to tear down and everything in between, there's one man behind it all. Let's welcome UNCP's Director of Game Operations, Frank James, to BraveHawk Talk. I'm so excited to welcome a very special guest onto today's show. If you've ever been to a UNCP sporting event, chances are you've seen this guy in action. He is the Director of Game Operations for UNCP Athletics, the one and only Frank James. Frank, how's it going?
It's going fine. It's nice to be with you, John.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on today, and a lot of fun stuff to talk about. But before we dive into all that, you are the Director of Game Operations. What exactly do you do here at UNCP?
Well, my job is basically I set up every event that's on the campus, I tear it down, and then whatever it takes to make the event go on so the participants, the athletes could do their thing. And I work the scoreboard, I get people to work, I chase balls down, I do whatever it takes to make sure the game goes well, goes smoothly, and, quickly, or, timely is a better word.
Absolutely. So to a degree, things probably don't happen if you're not able to be there and make it all work. So definitely an important role. Now, I know that you attended UNCP as well, so I want to talk a little bit about your journey to UNC Pembroke. You studied here, correct?
Yes, I started there in 2013 as a junior. I transferred in. I'm a business major, and I started at the business school. 2 years, I graduated with my business degree, but I was pretty lucky I had worked with the UNC Chapel Hill women's basketball team and with the ACC. So when I came to UNCP, I really wanted to work in athletics. So I talked to Coach Haskins, and found out that we had a little bit in common, and he liked my experience. So I became an intern for 2 years, a graduate assistant for 1, and I've been the Director of Game Operations for 4.
Now, is this something that when you started at UNCP that you kind of foresaw yourself doing?
Actually, no. I just wanted to be a part of the sporting event. I love all athletics, all sports, but I really enjoy women's sports. And so when I talked to Coach Haskins, I was hoping to be like a manager or something. I'm a lot older than the average student, but I just wanted to be a part. And after we talked about 15 or 20 minutes, he offered me an internship to work on all athletics. And once I got going, it was a job that I couldn't have dreamed of. I've enjoyed it so much. The old saying is that if you go to work and you enjoy it, you don't think it's work, then you found your calling, and that's what I've done.
what was that first internship that you had, courtesy of Coach Haskins?
It was considered game operations, but Coach Haskins is in charge of, or at the time he was in charge of the student workers that worked events. So he was allowed one intern, and then everybody else was either volunteer or whatever, and he decided to give me the chance. And so that put my foot in the door. My first event was working the Winston-Salem football game. We won after they had came in second in the tournament that year or the year before. And, it's a big game. I mean, Thursday night, TV coverage and everything, and it's my first event. And, they trusted me in doing stuff. And so I really enjoyed it and was excited. I had to learn different sports, but, the experience was nothing I could compare it to.
Yeah, that's an interesting point you bring up, learning other sports, because at UNCP we do have so many different sports teams, and you work with really all of them. Was it challenging to kind of get up to speed on all the different sports and the rules and kind of your role with each sport?
Yeah, it was a challenge, and I was lucky at. We have great coaches and assistant coaches and players and athletes, and so if I didn't understand something, I'd just ask. But we normally in a non-COVID year we play like 3 different sessions. We have the fall session, the winter session, and the spring session. So I was only having to learn 1, 2, or 3 sports at a time. So I didn't know what it took to run a football game, and so that was definitely a learning experience. I had worked with basketball before, so that was fairly easy. But stuff like volleyball, like keeping score for a volleyball game, and soccer, understanding what's offsides and stuff, it was all a challenge, but it was fun to learn it.
Now, you had mentioned before that you had previously had some work at UNC Chapel Hill and ACC. What did you do there?
Well, with UNC Chapel Hill, I worked with Sylvia Hatchell and the women's basketball team. I worked the shot clock for women's games, and I also helped Coach Hatchell with her basketball camps. And then whatever things they asked me to do, I was willing to do it. And lucky enough, while I'm working the score table, the ACC always has an official at every event. And the young lady working there and I got talking, and she liked my work ethic and stuff, and she asked me if I'd be willing to help them during tournaments and stuff, and if, that might interest me. And I told her yes. And so I've got to work the ACC baseball tournament, ACC soccer tournament, ACC women's basketball tournament, and the NCAA women's basketball tournament. So it turned out to be a great experience.
Wow, and I'm sure you learned a lot, and you kind of brought that here to UNCP. So, like you said, you started off as an intern, back when you were a student. Now you are the director of game operations. How were you able to make that jump into your current position now?
I think it was a lot my work ethic. I really put my all into when I worked, and I believe that was saw by Dick Christie and Paul O'Neill and Coach Haskins as well. And they saw what I was willing to do, whatever it took to make the event go off, whether it was something I had to do or something I just saw. And so the experience has helped me every year. I've learned something different. And Coach O'Neill is my immediate supervisor. He trusts me now to run events like football, and that's our biggest event. And he says, you run it today, and I'll be here. And that's a great feeling when somebody trusts you to the fact that they let you cover everything that has to be done in operations, and they don't say nothing. They just watch you and tell you you did a great job at the end.
Absolutely. Now this is a question that I've asked everyone that I've had in this podcast this year, because this pandemic has impacted really everyone in many different ways. But for you personally, how has COVID-19 and the restrictions that it's brought on impacted your position at UNCP and kind of how you go about things on a day-to-day basis?
Well, the biggest thing is that I didn't get to start. I normally start working in August through May, and because of COVID-19, we stopped working in March. So I didn't get to come back until December, and they have combined all 3 seasons of our athletics into one. So for this year, I am going to be really stretched to the extreme because we have as many as 4 events in one day. And so COVID has made things interesting, and I say that sort of tongue-in-cheek, and I have to learn a lot of new protocols and different things, and it's a little disappointing that we don't have the fans there. They really make our games interesting, but I have to do things to make sure that our athletes are safe, and I know exactly what we have to do in the sense of setting up and tearing down and all the rules in which we have to go by since COVID is around.
Right, and even things like anyone who maybe has watched a basketball broadcast this year, you notice that the benches are spaced apart, and or you have the 5 chairs on the baseline. So I'm sure that's added quite a bit more work for you and your team to do, right?
Yes, it has. We are a team we're a different type of team than the athletics, the scoreboard team, and all. But we have to sit 6 foot apart. So we're at a score table. We normally would have 8 to 10 people. Now we only have 4. And the biggest thing is we have to have good communication between each other because somebody may see something another person doesn't. Well, with being 6 foot away or 12 foot away, it's really hard to communicate like that. But we've worked so well together the 7 years that I've been here. We sort of know what each other's going to say or do. And we've worked real well together since this season. At the 2 games that we've worked together, everything's gone smoothly.
Good. Well, I'm glad to hear that, and I'm sure that you and your team will continue to do a great job as always. You mentioned before that the first game that you worked at was that big Winston-Salem State game back in 2013. You've seen a lot of sporting events here at UNCP. What are some of your favorite memories from games that you've worked at?
Well, at the 2013, the Winston-Salem game was a great experience. The first year we hosted the men's basketball Peach Belt tournament, which was very exciting because I've worked tournaments such as the ACC and with Carolina, but I hadn't worked something with Pembroke, so it's totally different in the way it's set up and who does what. When you work in a Division I game, you got a lot of people doing a lot of different things, but at Pembroke you have a limited number of people and you still have a lot of things to do. But I've got to work golf tournaments with Coach Sion before our golf team had their situation, and they were great going out and learning how they run a tournament and things in that fact. And it's every game, every sport I've got to work with except for swimming, and so hopefully in the future I get to work with them.
I remember you were telling me a story about something with a ladder, and you had to fix something during a game. What was that about?
That's probably the funnest experience that I've had at a basketball game. I was sitting working the shot clock, and the referees came by, and the protective rubber and guard around the basketball backboard had came apart, and they wanted it fixed, but we really didn't have anybody to do it. So we had a media timeout, which means you got a minute, 15 seconds of downtime. Well, the minute the media timeout started, I took off and ran and grabbed the ladder, and I wasn't thinking. I was just thinking, how fast could I get it out there, get it done, and get back. and I ended up carrying the ladder straight up and down, and everybody was entertained by it. I got out there, ran up, got everything fixed. They got the ladder put back. They got a standing ovation from the audience, and that was pretty neat. We got a video of it back then, and I've got lots of comments. People just don't understand how I carried a 12-foot ladder straight up and down and ran across the basketball court and did everything I could do in a minute and 15 seconds.
That is great. I love that. And one of the things that on a similar topic to that, I want to say it was the Neon Night game last year. So a lot of fans there. It was a big game, and after the game, you can see it on the broadcast. Jen Smith, who is actually in the room with me right now, got the ball and chucked it to you, and you caught it and ran off the court as people are starting to file onto the court, which was just great. Although we had that in the broadcast. I'll always remember that.
Yeah, and I escort the referees off the court, and part of my job during the games is to get the basketball so it doesn't just end up anywhere. And things like that happen all the time, and luckily I've got some good friends that work with me and all that. They look out for me, or the referees, and I've got to be on the broadcast from what you've shown on the UNCP network or the Peach Belt network of our games, and I get to show people what I actually get to do. They see me actually out there working, and so that's a great feeling.
Yeah, you are. I mean, especially sitting at the scorer's table, you're pretty much front and center on the broadcast.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Everyone who works in sports has a different story. One of the first things that I learned from people who have worked in this industry for a while was no one is going to have the same career path as another person. And I think that's very clear with you and how you've made your way into the sports industry. So what would your advice be for anybody, regardless of their age, who wants to work in sports?
Well, a lot of it is the way you present yourself. And if you wish to work in sports, the best thing to do is talk to the coaches and find out what they need, or administrators in athletics, and ask them what they need, if there's anything you can do. But the biggest thing is, when you get that opportunity, you got to make the best of it. You've got to put your all into it. You need them to remember you at the end of the night, that you were the person that helped make that game go smoothly, or you were the person that did this that needed to be done, but nobody else did it. Your actions will get you seen and get you, or prove your worth, and that's the best thing I can say. I tell my interns all the time, you put your all into a game, and people will notice, and that's what my biggest piece of advice. Put your all into any job you do, and someone will notice, and it will help you out in the future.
Well, there you have it, folks. Frank James, the Director of Game Operations here at UNC Pembroke. Again, if you come to a game once fans are allowed in, you will certainly see him. Otherwise, as we just spoke about, you can check him out on the broadcast as well. Frank, thank you so much for coming on today, and thanks for all that you do.
Thanks, John. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much for tuning in. A reminder, follow us on all of our social media platforms at UNCP_sports, and also subscribe to our YouTube page. Have a great rest of your week, and remember to mask up.